Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of The Voice of Liberty. As you already know from the title, in this one we will be talking about libertarianism. What is it? How has it evolved? Frequently asked questions, and more. But not much more, just a little bit more. Okay, so libertarianism, from Latin libertas, meaning freedom, is a philosophical and political ideology which is based on the freedom of the individual and seeks to maximize it. That was basically the Wikipedia definition, which you could have easily looked it up on the internet. So that's boring, all right? So let's get our hands dirty. When someone asks me where I stand politically, I am always unsure on what to say, because I want to stay as far away from tagging as possible. So basically, I just end up saying something like, let people do whatever they want as long as they don't harm others. And that is what this is all about: life, property, and liberty. Basically, it is the radical idea of believing that every man is born free and that we own ourselves and nobody else. It's not that hard. Although there are a lot of types of libertarians, which we'll mention later, we all believe in some basic things. The first one being respecting other people's lives and property. This means no stealing, no killing, and overall no harming your fellow. This axiom is generally accepted by everyone. I mean, it's just really common sense. Do not be the one who hits first and do not start the war. This is called the non-aggression principle, or NAP for short, and has been talked about by lots of authors like John Locke, Ayn Rand, or Rothbard, to name a few. Okay, so the thing here is that the NAP does not include self-defense. This means you can use violence against someone who has violated your rights, like for example, someone who's robbing you, or if you or your life is being threatened, you're free to use violence here. So since we all agree that violence is wrong, then the state is morally wrong, since its very foundation is coercion. Everything, and I mean everything, that the government does is accomplished through force and violence. If people wanted to do what the government mandates, there would be a voluntary organization doing the very same thing. And I would say that's about it. Once you understand that no one has a right to control others, everything else is just following that logic. So let's get into the types of libertarianism there are. I already mentioned there are different kinds of libertarians, and we can divide them into two big groups. Some of us believe the state is unnecessary because all of its functions can be replaced more efficiently and cheaper by the free market and voluntary organizations. While others, on the other hand, believe that the state is a necessary evil and it should be trusted with minimum functions, like for example defense, preservation of rights, and justice. People who advocate for no state whatsoever are called anarcho-capitalists, and the other ones, who support a small government, are usually called minarchists. Now, this is another problem because we focus too much on discussing who is right and who is wrong, while forgetting we are more or less on the same team. So the ANCAPs are ANCAPs, and there's nothing more to it. But minarchists, oh boy, let me tell you. We have civil libertarianism, classical liberalism, fiscal libertarianism, geo-libertarianism, neo-libertarianism, paleo-libertarianism, and along as etc. So to explain all of them, we would need like a whole episode, and I am not really in the mood to do that. So if you want to know more about them, then the internet is your friend. Go ahead and look them up. I know all of these names sound confusing, but I feel it's important to give it a name, like to the whole ideology, because talking to some of the people around me, I realized they are libertarians without them even knowing. People talk about how unfair it is that the police have a monopoly on violence. They talk about how taxes are super high and how politicians are thieves and liars, which is true. The problem is, when you talk about putting an end to all of this, they look at you as if you were some kind of psychopath. What about the roads, they say? What about poor people, they say? I call this bullshit, alright? We need to change this kind of mentality, because we have been brainwashed to believe exactly that. But that is another topic we'll cover in following episodes. Let's get right into the frequently asked questions. I hope you all have questions for me, and I will try to answer them with the common ones, alright? So, are libertarians conservatives or liberals? Are they right-wing or left-wing? From my experience, this is quite a common question, and the answer is often unpleasing. Neither, alright? Libertarians are not conservatives, and they are not liberals, even though we have some things in common with both political groups. For instance, The left-wing people are known for supporting the legalization of drugs, which we support too, and conservatives advocate for the right to keep and bear arms, which we definitely are in favor of. So basically, we take the liberty side of both of them. We take the personal and social liberty from the left and the economic liberty of the right. Do libertarians hate poor people? Okay, this one's quite funny to be honest. No, personally, I don't hate them, but I do hate, in fact, poverty. I think it's something we need to get rid of. So, to answer how less government will affect the less rich, we need to see first how does big government affect them now. The truth is, a state takes away people's purchasing power, let it be through inflation, taxation, or limiting their entrepreneurial actions with permits, regulations, and licenses. Plus, if the government is doing such a great job in taking care of these people, why is it that we still need voluntary organizations? In a freer market, these organizations would still exist, of course, but taxes would take much less out of our pockets, and it would let people engage in profitable activities without the need of government being okay with it. So basically, governments have no incentive to lift people from poverty, since for the most part, these are the people that vote for them the most. We libertarians just want them to keep what they earn. I mean, it's fair. By allowing this, wealth goes directly into the private sector. Businesses create more jobs and charitable giving increases. So, what about national defense? This one depends on what libertarian you ask. Minarchists believe national defense is a legitimate government function, and it should be restricted to the self-defense of the country and nothing else. Basically, minarchists believe in a non-interventionist policy, while I, or ANCAPs, believe that we don't need a government to do that. To ensure national safety, there would be militias or volunteers to help defend the nation, and we already know guerrilla wars work just fine. History has given us a few lessons about that. Isn't it utopian to believe everyone will be good? Well, yes, absolutely. It is. We are fully aware that bad people exist in this world, and this won't be changing in the near future, or ever actually. And this is not a problem. You don't have to believe that everyone will be good for freedom to work. It is a fact that most people are guided through their own greed. So why would we want these selfish people in a position of power, like the government? At least the free market pushes people to serve each other for profit. Is the US a good libertarian model? The short answer here is no. It used to be yes, but right now it is one of the biggest governments. Of course, they have great things, like free speech, gun ownership, but they also have a huge police force and too much military presence around the world. While most people think about the US when they are asked about freedom, the truth is there are better countries in this aspect, like the Nordic ones. Is it possible to achieve libertarianism? And on what scale could it be achieved? Libertarianism could be and will be achieved globally. It's just a matter of time. So the question here is how fast it will come. Will we be alive when it happens? Well, that depends entirely on us, on what we decide. You don't have to wait until your whole country declares itself libertarian. You can and you should start right now. Change the way you view the world. Start acting like an individual and reject violence and aggression against others. Tell your friends, family, and neighbors about libertarianism and start living as if the state couldn't stop you. Okay, you want to do drugs? Go ahead, I don't know, start your own drug company, plant your own drugs. Do you want to go fishing? Ignore permits and licenses, just go. Do you want to own a gun for whatever reason? Just buy a 3D printer and build it yourself. It's never been easier. What I mean with all of this is that technology is advancing towards freedom. And nobody can stop that, so you should take advantage of it. The future is libertarian. Just go ahead and enjoy it. So this is about it, guys. If you reached the end of this episode, I really thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, just let me know about them via Instagram or the comments in the YouTube video. We'll talk in the next one, and stay free.